I'm super excited to share what we have in store next month in Davos, and I can dive super into that. Maybe I'll start with an introduction for those that don't yet know me and what I do. So my name is Cliff. I am the Chief of Strategic Relations at Casper Labs. I'll get into what that is in a second, but I can give a little bit of my background. I'm born in South Africa, grew up mostly in California, and thought I wanted to be a lawyer with my career. Went to law school, graduated from law school in 2005. So I'm an old man at this point. I'm 45 next month. Um, Hated being a lawyer, hated practicing law. I did it very unhappily for 4 years after law school, and I was living in San Francisco, so I was in the Bay Area, um, and had an opportunity to join a startup. This is 2010, late 2010. And the role was kind of like half in-house counsel, half business operations, right-hand man to the CEO. And within like a few days, I'm like, oh, I love this. I'm a business guy, I'm an entrepreneur that just happened to have gone to law school. And that it didn't hurt that I was working among amazing people, and really good human beings. And then it also didn't hurt that, I don't know, 6-7 months after joining, my CEO came into my office and closed the door, which is the first time he'd ever done that, and said, Cliff, actually he said it in an Israeli accent. He's like, Kifi, other than the board of directors and my co-founders, you're the first to know I've been having quiet conversations with Microsoft about a potential acquisition. He's like, finish everything on your plate today, because starting tomorrow, this is going to be your life. And I said to him, Lior, the biggest thing I've ever sold, to this point in my life is like my 86 Honda Civic, or my parents' timeshare in Acapulco. And he's like, don't worry, we have one outside counsel. You'll do fine. And a lot of stories about that, but basically 4 months after that conversation, including a couple of trips up to Redmond, to present the company and building a pitch deck, he's like, you're going to write a peach deck. And I'm like, what's a peach deck? We sold his company to their company to Microsoft to Xbox for 80 million. And I never looked back. I became like a young business guy in tech, joined another startup that the VC firm that led that first company's financing basically said, don't go work for big bad Microsoft. You're a startup guy. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a startup guy, and started to work for one of the other companies in their portfolio. There was about 12 people, and I helped grow that company about 80 by the time I left. And so my career, after trying to be a lawyer, has really been kind of everything on the business side of early stage, deep tech, kind of change the world ideas. And so, that starts with finding office space, because you're no longer 3 people in a garage. You're now 7 people, to raising the seed round. It's a lot of fundraising, raising Series A, Series B's, investor relations, just creating the culture, putting deals together that are going to move a startup forward, and then executing on those deals. So this is what I've done since 2010, 2011. And, I found blockchain relatively late. Like, I remember I played in like a weekly poker game. This is back in like 2009. So 2010, 2011. With about most of the folks were developers, and like during the breaks in poker, they would talk about what they were getting into mining, and I wasn't smart enough. Like, at the time, I'm like, what are these programmers talking about precious metals for? And I kind of ignored that, but they were obviously talking about Bitcoin mining back when you could mine Bitcoin with a couple servers. So I'd heard about Bitcoin for years, but it wasn't until my last startup I kind of saw the writing on the wall. This is like early 2017, when I was living in LA by then, and when I started to talk to my network, because at that point in my career I wasn't like worried about getting a job. It was more about like realizing my time is the most precious thing that I have, and so where am I going to spend it? Let me go talk to the people that I value the most, I trust the most, that are doing the coolest things in tech and startups. And almost everyone was talking about blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS. Like this is right around the EOS ICO. ICO was a big word, right? This is kind of early to mid 2017. And I started. By the way, I don't know if this is what you wanted to talk about, but you're going to get, I'm just talking, so you're getting my story. So I started by like taking 2 months and not talking to anyone after that and just doing my own research. And I read the Bitcoin white paper, and then I read it again and I read it again. And each time I could get a little bit further in it before the math really stumped me. But I then watched Banking on Bitcoin, which is on Netflix, which is all about, Mo Levin and those early guys, and early Charles Hoskinson videos talking about the double spend problem, and Alex Tapscott's early stuff on anyway, and very quickly became a believer in the potential of distributed computing. Like when you decentralize government, I've read books like The Starfish and the Spider and other things about like networks that are distributed or decentralized, like where you get rid of the power head. And all of it made sense to me. Like if you are willing to build networks where you have the humility to take away the centralized power, instead empower those, what we now call nodes, you could actually build something way bigger and more sustainable and stronger than you can if it's a centralized entity. And I started to buy Bitcoin. I think I first bought Bitcoin at like $2,000. I should have been buying it at $20. But I'm a terrible trader. I like, if you want to know what to do, you sell what I buy, and vice versa. But I got into the space because of the tech and the promise of what it can do, right? And then I found the kind of home of crypto and blockchain in LA, and I met a bunch of people there, people like Brock Pierce and Scott Walker, the Poulier brothers, a bunch of other folks, and I got kind of swept up in kind of the ICO stuff and made some investments, very few of which are still around. And then it was in the kind of fall, like summer of 2018, where I met the co-founders of Casper. And when I met Mernal, I was in Singapore. I remember the exact moment. And what he said to me is like, we're working on bringing this thing together. And basically what he said at the time is, Cliff, we've yet to see the promise and the potential of blockchain technology. Like the stuff that we've seen so far, like most of it, this was even before DeFi and NFTs. This was like blockchain gambling and gaming and ICOs. And he's like, all of that is early adopters playing around with the tech, trying to make a quick buck. And I honestly think that, what he said then still kind of holds, because what he went on to say is, you don't really see the full power of a new and disruptive technology until real enterprises and governments and sustainable entities start using it. And he gave the examples of like cloud computing. Right? Like the idea of cloud computing was talked about for a dozen years before people started actually using it, or before AWS actually made it usable. And up until that point, most people said, there's no way I'm going to let someone else's computer house my personal information or my company's information. Like it was taboo, and now it's all on the cloud, or most of it, right? And the same thing with Linux. It really didn't explode until Red Hat came along and made it super accessible for businesses and governments and NGOs of all sizes. And he said, we are pre all of those things. We're pre AWS for cloud computing, pre Red Hat for Linux. And what this industry needs is, first, a public blockchain that looks like enterprise software with familiar programming languages, tooling. It fits neatly within an enterprise's tech stack. You don't have to learn new Solidity and Golang and all these other things. But that's not all. Like and it needs to be a public chain because you need to have the trust of a public ledger. Because a private blockchain, I don't know, it's a little bit of an oxymoron, but the real trust for Bitcoin and Ethereum and others comes from the fact that there is no central authority picking and choosing who the miners are, being able to undo transactions. It's a leaderless network. So we need a public blockchain, but it needs to look like enterprise software. And then two, you're still going to need the Red Hat or the AWS, the for-profit business, to engage and interact with enterprises and the early adopters. Like you need a Sherpa to take them up the mountain. So we're going to go build this public blockchain. It's going to be called Casper. And then once it's built and launched and it's steady and stable and people trust that it works, we're then going to go really open up what could be a multi-trillion-dollar market. And so that got me hooked. Like I was ready to do something big. I want to do something big. I've had some successes in my career, but nothing to the scale that we've already done. And I think we're just at the beginning here at Casper. And then, man, this whole thing was meant to get to my role now. So my first role at Casper Labs, I came in, I guess I was vice president for investor relations. The company was formed in October 2018. I joined in January 2019 to help raise our Series A. We did a $14.5 million Series A in the summer of 2019. And then apparently I did a good job or good enough that I was asked to be COO, which I did up until a little more than a year ago. Even though I wasn't all that qualified to do it, but you take these opportunities where you can. And the role for me was more kind of business development than COO. It was easy to do operations for like a 30-person company. This isn't it wasn't a 3,000-person company. And then, I kind of saw Casper through kind of various things, including finding the participants for our testnet in 2020, assisted the Casper Association, which was just being formed with our private validator token sale in late early 2021, the relationship with CoinList leading up to the CoinList sale and mainnet launch in the end of March, early April of 21. And then, as Casper Labs, once the Casper mainnet launched, and Casper Labs began its next phase of now going to, evangelize and work with enterprises to build on Casper, we needed to bring in a head of business that has done enterprise sales before. That isn't me. I've never done it. And so at the end of last year, we hired Ross Mackay, who's out of Scotland, who came to us like as the head of EMEA for Dropbox, and he has both operational and enterprise sales experience. And then, so starting at the end of last year, and so for the last year, I transitioned, gladly gave up the COO hat and transitioned to Chief of Strategic Relations, which it's kind of one of these titles where like, what does that mean? And I definitely have a full set of things that it does mean, but it also means I can kind of like, if there's cool stuff to do, we can go do it. Me and my small team, But in short, investor relations is definitely on our team. And so Casper Labs, we had 55 participants in our Series A. We're doing a raise right now, a convertible note round, and then which will move into our Series B. And so we're both communicating a lot with our existing investors and meeting new investors. But there's other kinds of partnerships and relationships that aren't sales, that aren't like directly working with potential customers, but are important to the company. And so one of those things is Davos, which or Davos, if you're Swiss, where we're going to go for a third time in a month, which we'll talk about. And then coming out of our last two experiences in Davos, we actually got invited to join the World Economic Forum. They have like the official members, but then there's also 3 startup tracks or for younger companies. There's one that's for super early stage startups. There's another one on the other end for companies that have just become unicorns, so that have $1 billion valuation or more. And then there's the middle one for kind of growth stage startups. And they asked us to apply and we were accepted. It's called the Global Innovator. So me and my team manage that relationship. We have a multi-pronged relationship with Skybridge Capital. I'm just trying to give you a sense of what I work on. Where Anthony Scaramucci is an investor. Skybridge makes introductions, so there's so many connections at really every level of business and government and across industries. So we manage that relationship. And then, we do provide assistance to the Casper Association. It's an amazing organization now that's really well staffed. But a lot of the folks there weren't part of the Casper Labs story before launch. And so we provide some of that institutional knowledge and some of our connections in the space. So that is the not so short version of my career, how I found Casper and what I do at Casper Labs. I don't know if that's where you wanted to start, but there you go.
Let's go with the Davos.
Okay, let's go to Davos. So, I know there's a bunch of chatter like, we're a blockchain. Why are we going to big bad Davos? And yeah, I think there is some merit to that. Like it's completely fine that people hold that position, but hopefully they'll be open. You and who's listening to this will be open to at least hearing why we go there. So we at Casper Labs, we're still a startup. We're not profitable. We're just entering revenue. We have very limited marketing dollars. Why would we take that very precious pool and go spend it, for this 1 week among all these leaders of industry that blockchain is supposed to disrupt and get rid of? And our approach is that change doesn't happen with massive disruption. Generally, sometimes it does, but generally, it's evolutionary, and there are systems that change. Now, that doesn't even mean it happens across a long period of time. Like it can happen in a short period of time, but it's usually not complete destruction that then is replaced by a brand new something. It's evolutionary, and those in our industry that think we should never even talk to or deal with the leaders in the places that we're trying to disrupt right now, I think don't understand fully that that's not how change is made. Change is made when you, like, for instance, like with Uber, like, or Airbnb, like they didn't shun governments. They didn't say like we're outside of the law. Like they went into New York and they went into airports and they made the case and they gave money to lobbyists and like they said, we are building a better mousetrap, but we're going to work with the existing systems to make it easier for you to adopt it. And eventually taxis now have a tiny market share compared to what the 100% market share that they used to, because Uber did it that way. They sat in meetings with even their competition, it said, we've built something better. It's going to win. Let us show you how it's going to be better for you. And so that's why we go to Davos is per capita, there is no other place like it. For the week that the WEF is there, um, you know, the number of decision makers of various industries, governments, NGOs. You're just always, around people, and the folks that are there are looking for disruptors, innovators, who could save them money, open up new channels for revenue, and so that's why we go. And what we do is actually really unique. So the Davos is this kind of sleepy kind of mountain town in the Alps. I don't know, like a few thousand people, maybe a few tens of thousands of people live there. And then for 1 week out of the year, when the World Economic Congress is in town, it becomes, it's like the population, I don't know, 10x's. I don't know the exact numbers, but the city that has like shoe stores and jewelry stores and whatnot along this main drag called the Promenade, all those retail shops basically lease out their space, and companies like Casper and Casper Labs come in and do like an installation where we totally take over the space, and we either put on programming, put on events, create places for folks to meet. And so we kind of fortunately 2 years ago were invited to the address is Promenade 69. That's what it's known as. The main drag is called the Promenade, and our space is incredible. You kind of walk in off the Promenade, and there's like a large networking space, large for Davos. It fits like 100, maybe 120 people standing room. But that's where a lot of conversations happen. There's coffee that's served in the morning, and we'll do some, wine and beer in the evening. And then downstairs, you walk downstairs, and there's a small stage, which you watched the live streams before. And for 4 days, we put on an average of 4 to 6, maybe sometimes 7 hours of programming to talk about what's important in our industry. And this year, beyond our industry, we're tackling AI because Casper Labs, we're doing work with IBM at the intersection of blockchain and AI. And we'll even host conversations that aren't exactly, what we do business in, but because it's really important to the world. And we'll invite speakers who have important things to say because we have a great stage. We have a great forum for us to do that, and we live stream everything. So that's what we do. And I don't know if I can do a screen share. I can show kind of the latest overview deck for what the hub looks like this year. Can I do that?
Yes, you can. You can do it, of course. You can share the screen.
Okay, let me see if I can do this. So screen share. This one. So let me see if I do this, and I do this, and I do that. What are you seeing? The hub screen?
Yes. Yeah, the hub Davos. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, and can you also see my face, or have you lost my face?
Yeah, I've lost your face. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll just narrate over this part. So, we call it the hub because, first of all, our location is right in the middle of all the action. Like on the one end is where the WEF happens, and then throughout the off the street of the Promenade, we're about less than a kilometer from the WEF, and there's all this stuff that's another kilometer that way. So like we are the hub, which is the center of a wheel. It's also, a hub is a place where people come to meet. And as important as the programming that we do is also the fact that we are a meeting place, and that's where we're going to meet a lot of people. The other thing to notice is down here. Can you see my cursor? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we see the Financial Times.
Yeah, but for the first time, we have a major media partner. Before we kind of put this on with Casper Labs, or we partnered with our friends at CBBC to run the event, and we've done a good enough job over the last couple of years that a tier 1 media partner has found us and said, we want to, co-program this with you guys. And so we, while a lot of people, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands know Casper, tens and tens of millions, arguably a billion people know the Financial Times, and they come with a reputation of fairness, particularly in business, and particularly in Europe, but beyond. And so we are honored that they're, our co-creator here, and it's been a privilege to work with them, and we're excited to produce the hub with them. So their logo, our logo, will be on the front of the building throughout the hub as well. This speaks to kind of what we're doing. I can share these slides with you. These are absolutely shareable, but this kind of says in the words that I've already said, kind of what we do at the hub. Here are some images from past years. Like the one on the bottom left shows what the networking room in the first floor of the street level looks like. In the past, we had some VR stuff. There's some Casper punks in the background. And then this image in the top right really shows you what the downstairs stage programming amphitheater looks like. There's seating for like 60 or 70. We'd packed maybe 120 down there before, but which is actually big for Davos. Like, we have one of the bigger spaces. And where I want to go to next is what we're, what programmatically we're doing there this year. So there'll be 4 days of programming, and we've created themes to define or structure our work there. So we call Monday day 0 because Tuesday is day 1, because that's the first day that the WEF actually meets. But we're going to do programming even the day before. It's actually a great day to do programming because everyone's already there, and they're looking for stuff to engage with and places to be, but we're not competing with the WEF itself. So Monday day 0, which is 3 weeks and 3 days away, but who's counting, is about restoring trust. And so this is actually the theme of the whole WEF this year. And so we borrowed it or aligned with it, shall I say. And the WEF is really speaking to, it's a crazy freaking world right now. And 2023 has been nuts. Like, obviously, it was a big part of the crypto bear market, but there's a lingering war that's going on 2 years now in the Ukraine, another war in the Middle East. We got crazy stuff like FTX happening and other frauds. Like, faith in institutions is really at an all-time low, whether that's government or enterprise. Like, what are we as leaders and those that want to be leaders, how do we think about this? And what are we doing to do things right, to restore that trust? And another reason why this theme is so great is, this is what blockchain does. Blockchain restores trust. Like, that when you send that Bitcoin or you send that Casper, the system is verifying that the sender has it and that the receiver is eligible to receive it. And you can do it in a way that doesn't require, PayPal or whoever in the middle to verify and just to be the person that, or the participant that says, no, trust me, you don't need that player. And so blockchain is built to restore trust. And so we feel like that's a great theme. On this day, we have some, tremendous folks that have already agreed. Anthony Scaramucci from Skybridge will be with us on Monday. Jeremy Allaire, the founder of Circle and CEO of Circle, will be there. Mernal, our CEO, is giving the welcome keynote. We have Michael Casey from CoinDesk joining us again. Sheila Warren, who is the CEO of the Crypto Council for Innovation. She'll be there on Monday. And Bardar Shirzad, the Chief Policy Officer from Coinbase. Yatsu, the founder of Animoca Brands. They're all speaking on Monday. And we have several others as well. So that's kind of a real heavy hitter, action-packed day. Day 1, the official day 1, which is Tuesday, is responsible AI. So it might sound a little weird that we're doing AI first, but it's not really about AI first. we are operating in a world where AI seems to have sucked all the energy and attention and funding away from blockchain over the last 18 months or so, and we think that's not fair. And not that we're just a kid in the corner saying that's not fair. We think it shouldn't be AI versus blockchain. That these two technologies aren't just complementary, but they work better when they work together. And what I mean is AI is going to bring, and it is already bringing in this world with so much more information than we had before, from all different sources, and not even generated from any one source, just generated through technology. What do you know to be true? What can you trust? What has verification behind it? And our belief and our position is that blockchain is the perfect technology to provide that verification of information and sourcing and governance. And in fact, I don't know if you caught the webinar, the Gartner webinar from November with where us and IBM announced this initiative to build this product that's the combination of AI and blockchain. So the discussion on day one, on Tuesday, will be responsible AI. Like, what are we doing to do this right? How does blockchain play a role? We have representatives from IBM, AWS, Microsoft, the ETH AI Center. We have the head of data science from Blackstone, the chief sustainability officer from Fidelity. These are all the folks that are confirmed. And by the way, our website will be updated likely next week with the full program. So you guys are getting a preview, or you're getting a preview at least, Maciek. So day 3 is blockchain in action. And this is day 2, Wednesday. And what we really mean is in action, like show us real, let's show the community that is skeptical about blockchain. They were already skeptical before 3 Arrows and Celsius and FTX. But now they're even more so. Let's show them that there are actual companies that are using this technology, and they're saving money, and they're making money in new ways because of it. There's a couple of really amazing Casper projects that are going to be showcased there. I'm not sure if the community yet knows about Sports Advantage. They're going to be out testnet soon, and mainnet hopefully in Q1, certainly by March. And they're doing a blockchain, a Casper-based system for advertisers for the racing series, starting with the Porsche series, which the new season starts in March. So they're racing, so to speak, to be ready for that. Our friends at Droplink are doing some great things with Casper Commerce. We're going to show that. There's really cool things already happening in supply chain. There'll be a panel on pharma, on blockchain. There's really cool things happening in Web3 with telecommunications. So there'll be a telco panel. All of this is going to be on our Blockchain in Action Day. And then we're actually inviting some of our competition. We don't really call them competition. We'll say our frenemies, where there's a layer 1 roundtable that'll include Lily Liu, the president of the Solana Foundation, Dominic Williams, the chief scientist at Definity, and Lehman Bayard from Hedera, and kind of talking about the pros and cons of each of the layer 1s that we built. So all of that is going to be on our Blockchain in Action Day. And then the 4th day, which we call day 3, because day 1 is day 0, will be about sustainability in the morning and finance in the afternoon. Where we think blockchain generally is an alternative to the old and costly and not just costly in dollars, but for our environment, a way of doing things. And we think Casper is incredibly efficient compared to our peers. And so We'll hear from folks that have invested in Casper and Casper Labs, folks that are thinking about the future, not just 5 years ahead, but 20 years ahead, and why blockchain is an important part of that. That'll be the morning. And then the afternoon on the Thursday will be all about fintech, and not just blockchain, but blockchain will play a predominant role in the way banking systems should be run, the way other financial institutions can adopt new technologies to better service their clients, save money, and create new opportunities for themselves and their customers. So that's the day. It's going to be, as I said, like anywhere from 3 to 4 hours of programming on Monday to some of these days having 5 or 6 hours of programming. Lots of other meetings go on, throughout the city that we'll get invited to. We're going to be speaking on other people's stages. Our whole business team will be there to make contacts and hopefully generate new business while we're there. My team will be there because we're raising, as I mentioned, a capital round right now. But that gives you a sense of programmatically what's going to happen at the hub. We built this slide was last week. It's already, I think we've already confirmed 80 speakers. And like I said, our website will be updated. We're continuing updating the speaker list. Oh, by the way, it's thehubdavos.com, www.thehubdavos.com. The speaker page is updated, I don't know, hourly almost. And then the whole site will be updated, I think, at the end of next week to include the full program, not just the speaker list. But we are honored to have on our DS some of the biggest leaders in our space and other industries. This just shows the rest of the deck, kind of shows the schematics. We have a graphic designer who just does this in his free time, like at night. Like I could do really great renderings. We're like, okay, Travis, go for it. But this gives you a sense of what the upstairs at the hub looks like from different angles. This is the kind of top-down bird's eye view of the upstairs. Like I said, it's maybe 100 people standing. We have a really big coat check because it's cold this time of year. This is what the downstairs looks like. You saw pictures of it. This is what it looks like when it's set up for presentations on stage. In the mornings and the evenings, we're going to create this more of a loungy vibe for actually to hold meetings. I don't know if it says DJ era. I don't think we're ever going to have a DJ, but this is where you can have kind of informal meetings that can be change the world meetings, business opportunities for the company. So this is what we use the space for when there isn't presentations.
Okay, so please officially confirm live stream.
100% confirmed live stream. I believe it'll be on our YouTube channel. The Casper Labs is, I think the Casper Association will do it as well. But yes, absolutely 100% will be live stream.
Okay, so could we see some demos and more announcements?
You'll get an update. I don't know how much is going to be shown live. I'm hoping live, but you'll get an update on the product that Casper Labs is building with IBM on the AI and blockchain product. Our friends at Sports Advantage, who are building on Casper, will be showing what they've built and why blockchain, not just why blockchain, but why Casper. Our friends at Droplet will be sharing more about Casper Commerce and what's coming down that pike. Those I know for sure.
What about the Nucleus Finance?
They will definitely be there. Sanjay, Nucleus Finance's CEO, is coming. He'll give a keynote. I don't know if there's any new things to announce. He'll certainly be there sharing why Nucleus is important, their value proposition for their potential clients. And, most of what they'll be doing on the ground is engaging with potential customers. Like that's their main role there, but they will be there.